audience, thanks for coming back. For those of you who join us regularly, and for those of you new joining us, thank you. We are in for a really interesting conversation today on Audit Tuesday regarding would your identity program survive an attack? My name is Jerry Sasan. I'm the CEO of Edge Realm. I'm always happy to host these events. I always have a lot of fun, and I promise you we are going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to learn something too. And I just want to I guess, open this up, talk about what are we going to talk about today? You're joining us to talk between ThreatGEN and YouAttest as we explore how cyber attack simulation and identity governance work together to strengthen security, reduce risk, and improve resilience for your organization. You know, most organizations invest heavily in preventing cyber attacks, but what happens after an attacker gets in? And that's where we're going to discuss, you know, how attack simulations expose weaknesses, traditional assessments miss, why overprivileged users, administrators, and non-human identities often become an attacker's fastest path to sensitive systems. We're also going to talk about, you know, how automated user access reviews help enforce least privilege and reduce the attack surface, and how combining continuous identity governance with realistic attack simulation creates measurable cyber resilience. We'll try to stick to these points. We might get off track a little bit. Of course, we always do, especially if we have a good topic to come up to talk through. But I want to introduce our panel today. Of course, the infamous Garrett Grayjack. And we all know Garrett. Garrett is the founder of Audit Tuesday. He's also is an expert around governance, especially identity management. He's a certified security engineer with almost 30 years experience in information security. He's very recognized. He has over 15 patents, and he's just a wealth of knowledge and information. And I know you guys love coming back to Audit Tuesday. We see a lot of repeat guests, and we appreciate you for that. Also want to introduce Robert Rhodes. Robert is the CFO and head of business development for ThreatGEN. He's an experienced sales and business development professional with a background in finance, operations, and strategic planning. I know Robert. I've known Robert here for a couple of years now, and he's just a great guy. I know he's got a great background in taking companies public. He's got a lot of experience around cybersecurity, and we're excited to have him today. Again, my name is Jerry Sasan, CEO of Edge Realm. For those of you not familiar with Edge Realm, we are a sovereign compute environment. We exist to return sovereignty to the American enterprise over your data, over your processes, and over your innovations. I also want to introduce Kashif Mahmood. Kashif is, Kashif, I'll let you introduce yourself. You are director of, or VP of Field.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Jerry. My name is Kashif Mahmood. I'm the director of Field Services at YouAttest, and been there for 5 years now and counting with YouAttest, enjoying my role here. And I help Garrett a lot in these meetings and to design the product and where do you want to go next.
Yeah, you're one of the reasons we're here. So we're glad to have you join us. Wealth of information between you and Garrett. Robert, why don't we move to you? Let you introduce yourself.
Sure. I tell you, I have a passion for taking the technology and implementing it in the real world. And to that extent, at ThreatGEN, we have two platforms. One that starts the conversation. I'm pointing at the game over here because we have a gamification platform that introduces people to cybersecurity concepts. And then and I have a shirt too that goes with it. Game over, red versus blue. And we have a platform that uses agentic AI to simulate incidents and allows you to take your incident response plan off the shelf and make it a living document so that you live it. You live an incident. You respond to the AI. Even though you can create a scenario once, you can play it an infinite number of times, and it's different each time. So you build the muscle memory. That's what I really have a passion for, is building that memory in your responses, both cybersecurity and business response too. Of course, being CFO, I'm in the general business arena as well. So that's me.
Awesome. Garrett, take a minute, just kind of give your background and why are we here? Why'd you start this?
We're here to talk about the topic, of course, is your identity program secure? And the reason what it's great to have ThreatGEN, which is attack simulation, and YouAttest, which is what? Which is the third A of the identity trilogy. That's what I always tell people, because I've done in my career authentication, authorization, and then the last one's audit, the forgotten. One of the most expensive parts, and one of the parts that usually has very little cyber value. What we built at YouAttest, Kashif and I and the team, what we built here is an audit product that has cybersecurity merit, and that's what will come out in discussion. How to use the audit to strengthen in both real time and in regular events your identity security program.
And Gary, throughout your career, you've been involved in all three of those A's, right?
All three. That's what I got. Multiple patents and authentications, multiple patents. I was the first person to invent the two-factor IDP, which is the SSO server. You guys know as Okta and Azure AD today, Entra ID. And of course, audit now. Yeah, I started my career as the two-factor RSA token and crypto guy.
Well, we're fortunate to have all you guys in this space, and we're just glad to be here. Thanks for inviting us to be part of this event, and we welcome everybody back. Let's kick it off. Let's talk about what everybody else is talking about, guys. Let's talk about this FortiBleed attack that recently happened. I think everybody knows about. What is it? How is it relevant? Robert Rhodes, tell us how is it relevant to enterprises, especially those exposed through identity access?
Perfect example. Most incidents happen not by people hacking in anymore. They just log in. And with FortiBleed, there was a bunch of just admin passwords that never were changed and that were zombies out there. And with the new AI LLMs that are out, like from OpenAI or Anthropic, everyone's scared because it can tie a number of vulnerabilities together to create an attack vector that you can't really think of beforehand. There's no way to even simulate it. So with FortiBleed, 86,000 firewalls across the world, people just logged in because of these zombie accounts. Yeah. And I just teed it up for Garrett.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Garrett, go ahead. If you want to address how
this is I don't have Akasha fellow with some real world details, but what it is the number one attack vector, as our friend Robert just said, is of course identities. And what are the identities that they want? That I can definitely speak on. The identities you want are your admin accounts. And what FortiBleed showed us was, the attack vector, of course, is in this case the network products made by Fortinet. Okay, and what they wanted was access to them and access to the enterprise. And so what they did is they attacked the admin accounts. And what they found is insane. They found that over 60% of the admin accounts had never been changed on the default password. And I tell stories, and I don't want to name names, but when I started a career and we started a company doing MRI work, we actually used the default passwords to get in to test our software. And that's unfortunate. And that can be stopped through regular understanding of access and looking at access.
This problem's been around for a long time. Kash, if you want to go on top of that.
Yeah, what I wanted Kash to just mention is, how do our customers, look at their admin accounts,
Right. Yeah. I mean, the top priority is reviewing every account, but especially the admin accounts. And that's exactly where YouAttest helps. I mean, we give continuous visibility into privileged accounts, including like last password change and last login. Then we run an attestation campaign. So the actual manager, not just the IT, has to explicitly certify or revoke each admin account. And once that first review runs, you can schedule it to recur automatically. It could be weekly, monthly, quarterly. So it isn't just one time scramble after a CVE. It's a starting point. It's a standing process that's already running because before the next one hits. So we provide you these scheduled audits, plus we give you these admin accounts based on their roles and admin accounts based on the privileges they've been assigned by someone within the identity system.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, this has been a problem for a really long time. My first sales role in the software industry, and it was in the cybersecurity space. I don't know if you guys remember a company called BindView Development, but we did this back then. They sold that company to one of the big players. I won't mention who that is today, but I think they buried it. And this has been a problem since. It's still an ongoing problem. And quite frankly, I think it'll be a problem until about 3 days after the sun burns out. Garrett, why do you think attackers almost always target identities instead of the systems?
What I'll take you and take a look at your screen, Jerry. I think we lost your video. I'll make it put it with this right now. Is what we're seeing in the it goes back. The research on this has gone back all the way to the 70s when Lockheed Martin built what they called the cyber kill chain. The attackers, what they do is they usually do your reconnaissance, then they do the intrusion on your system, and they do the exploitation. They run some type of exploitation. And one of the first things they do is take whatever account they can get and they try to escalate your privileges. Escalate the privileges. Why do they want the admin account? Because they want to move around your enterprise and find the relevant data and jump over whatever controls you have there. And the common thing is in the Fort-Bleed attack that Robert brought up, what we did is we gave them a head start. We said, you don't have to escalate your privileges. All you have to do is use the default admin account or use the ones that were used, the password with the old encryption. That's what they Fort-Bleed did. They want the admin accounts because they can circumvent any controls that you have. Okay. And
so how are these access reviews going to reduce an organization's attack surface?
So Kashif, take it away. How does our enterprises, how do they use review of both their admins and the users to reduce the surface area of the attacks?
Sure. Thanks, Garrett. Well, the core idea is just, every necessary or forgotten entitlement is attack surface. An account with more access than it needs or access nobody remembers granting is exactly what an attacker looks for to exploit or what turns a small compromise into a big one. What we are seeing organizations do is move away from manual spreadsheet-driven reviews, which tend to happen once or twice a year and are already stale by the time they're done, and instead automate the whole process. And YouAttest continuously pulls access data from source systems. So instead of someone hunting for, who has access to what, that visibility is, already there. On top of that, organizations, a lot of our clients are setting up triggers in Okta, in Entra ID. So instead of waiting for the next scheduled review, an event kicks off automatically. So, for example, someone gets added or removed to or from a group, or changes role, or gets promoted, moves departments. That triggers an attestation right then. So, access gets right sized in near real time instead of sitting over provision for months. The result is that access review stop being compliance checkbox, and it becomes an ongoing control, which is really how you shrink the attack surface, by closing the gap between when someone stops needing access and when that access actually gets revoked.
Good points. Well done. Yeah.
Great point, guys. I'm not sure what's happening on my camera, but it's more important that the audience gets to know you guys.
Okay.
If you see these guys in public, shake their hands and thank them for bringing these solutions to the table. Right, Robert, back to you. How realistic are today's cyber attack simulations compared to actual attacks? And I'll combine that with another question: what are the most common identity weaknesses that your simulations will uncover?
Hey, that's a good question. I mean, as you're building this muscle memory with your simulations, how do you ensure that it's realistic and it gets your heart pounding so that you're responding under fire, so to speak? So one of our clients, they're an automation company, and what they do anytime their hardware has a security bulletin, they literally take that bulletin and the playbook that they have to respond to it. They upload that into our simulation program called Auto Tabletop version 2.1. And their SOC team, 60 plus people, runs a simulation to ensure that their playbook is valid, to ensure they're actually bringing to their clientele all the things to remediate this. Now, what they have told us, I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar company, and you can guess who it is if you go up to our website and look through the scenarios, because one of them is for that company. But their SOC team uses it to train. That is how realistic it is. You're never going to be able to come up with every iteration on what could go wrong, what incident could take place, but you need to be able to respond without looking at the incident response plan.
All good. Did we lose Jerry for a second? That's okay. I'll see you with them. I will keep the line going. Wonderful. I've got a question. I got a question for here. Oh, I know what I'm going to switch the topic to. Okay. Now, one thing about these, Robert, and I'll let you go, and then Kasha, I'll let you take this afterwards or say. So we're seeing a lot of discussions in identities, but some of them are not even human identities, the threats that are coming out. Okay.
Yeah.
And whatever number you want to say, and Kashif and I live this, we talk identities with our customers, the world's throwing out 10x. I'm not seeing that in all our companies, but we are seeing NHIs, non-human identities, greatly proliferate across the enterprise. Start first, Robert, with how you see using ThreatGEN to help enterprises understand the threat of these non-human identities.
Okay, so this is something that's on everyone's mind.
Right.
I'm going to answer it in 3 steps. Number 1, we have an agentic simulation platform, that's the Auto Tabletop, that literally has been out in the marketplace for 3 years. And so we have some experience with these non-human agents basically interacting with our full stack of technology. And initially it was really scary, especially because when you have a stack, for instance, Microsoft Azure, and there's 1,700 plus different items within the stack, you don't know where the attack vector is going to be. So that's the first thing. Number 2, I will tell you this, that we were hit, our software as a service tool, Auto Tabletop, was hit with a ransomware attack. We responded within 30 seconds. We eat our own dog food, so we had backups. And we were back up with 0 loss of data for our clients, no exfiltration of any data documented. We were audited afterwards, and The forensic said 0 exfiltration, and 100% of our remediation was done by our agents. Our president, Clint Bodunjan, actually has released our own Mindstone agents. So we had 5 agents that attacked that because they had, and this is the answer to your question, they had access to nothing. We had to press the button on everything, just like Claude where you have to press the button to go forward and deploy. But the difference is we knew how scary that was. Now, the third part to my answer is OpenClaw. Everyone has heard about OpenClaw out there, and people are granting OpenClaw root access to their personal PCs. Wow. And within, that scares the bejesus out of me. And in organizations that we talk to, we have found that they have let loose these non-human agents and granted them root access. And we're like, oh my God. So our tool points out those issues. But again, let me go back to your tool. You know, unless you audit it, you're never going to catch that.
Exactly.
That goes back to question back to you guys. I'm sorry I left you for a minute. I think I'm back now. I had an ID10T or
I set up this question. I had Robert go first on NHIs, and I definitely want Kashif go on top of what a very, very large American medical company paid us for to build, and now it's part of the product for everyone, is what we're doing for NHIs.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I should name that company, but yeah, what they were facing, they had non-human identities, whether it was a service account, if it's an API, if it's a token or a client secret. They were dealing with a lot of NHIs because now we know that these non-human identities have, easily outnumbered human identities, if you talk about it. But what they were facing, since they were feeding UAttest with CSV data coming from different sources, so they needed to find out which of those were non-human and then assign them, like attach a heartbeat to those non-human accounts and somebody to say yes or no to their access, instead of just letting them go. So what we developed for them in the CSV module of UAttest audit is to identify those, not only to identify those non-human identities with a tag or something, but also to be able to aggregate all of those non-human identities and assign those to some human entity within the organization to say yes or no to their access. Or if they have any excessive privileges within the system, they could just go ahead and revoke those. So this is what we built for that client, but then it gave us the idea to go a step further and work with the IAMs to do the same thing when we integrate into any of those identity platforms, to find out and to identify the tags with non-human identities and bring them into UAttest for audit and identify them easily so that they could be delegated or assigned to some human entity within the organization for evaluation.
Yeah, and let me just go on top of that. And what you all in risk and compliance and governance have to understand is it's not enough for the system to work. All those NHIs, you need to attach a heartbeat to it and say, Bob has looked at and owns the rights to these accounts. Jane has looked at these accounts. Sahid has looked at these accounts. And a name has to be put next to those NHIs and those service accounts, those agentic IDs. That's where we're killing it with UAttest. We're helping you become not only compliant, but assigning governance and responsibility to these IDs. Take it away.
Oh my God. So the next thing would be if you had a SIM that actually sucked in the log file for what that NHI actually did. Now that would be cool. Okay, there's your next question.
That's leading me to my next question here, Robert. I'm going to direct that to you. So we set the base of, talking about the problem. exposing the vulnerabilities. I want to talk about the active defense here, right? So tabletops have historically been slow, right? The manual process. How does generative AI help teams? We're talking about AI being a problem with it, non-human identities, but how does AI help the teams quickly pivot to test specific urgent vulnerabilities, like newly discovered zero-day exploiting Active Directory or Okta? Talk about what you guys are doing with ThreatGEN.
So with Auto Tabletop, we're able to create scenarios very quickly, and as opposed to previous tabletop exercises that took on average 82 hours for a senior professional like these gentlemen online, it took them 82 hours. And if you're being charged $250 an hour for those, that's an awful big pill to take. And then you do it once, because it's called a tabletop because you have pieces of paper that you have spread out on a tabletop, and you have this senior practitioner that goes through everything. They might not be the best presenters, but they know their craft. And you go through it once, and then everyone says, okay, checkbox, we've done it. You can tell our insurance company that we did it. So we don't believe in that. What we believe in is create a simple interface that allows you to very quickly create a scenario and go. And the AI fills in all the details, and it's different every single time.
Can these AI-driven attack simulations, can they reveal gaps in traditional vulnerability scans that completely miss those? Are you able to reveal those?
Well, I tell you what, one of our automation hardware manufacturers believes so, because they own an enterprise license, and that's what they use it for.
Oh, so when the team is in the thick of it, actively managing ongoing attack, Garrett, how do you attest, or Kasha, which one of you guys want to answer that? How do you attest, identify, or identity triggers act as a force multiplier for incident response?
Yeah, I'll start with that, because that's why I always bring up the Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain. But one of the key things that any attacker is going to do, and whether you familiar with Metasploit or using now automated Metasploit, which is really what Mythos is God bless them, is what it's doing. It is going to escalate your privileges. It's going to take over account and escalate privilege. That's the goal. What YouAttest did is work with our partners, and it was especially around the time of the MGM Caesars hack. If we all remember that was a direct attack on an IAM, and they became admin of the IAM. It doesn't matter which one. They became admin of the IAM, and then they created their own IDP, their own identity provider. So they were shooting the authentications that came from AD to the IDP that was over in China. So when they were first asked how many authentications did they steal, they said, we have no idea, because every authentication went to the IDP. Okay, why is that relevant to Jerry's question? And then you can go on top of discussion and say our teams actually use it. What our triggers do is say, listen, if you basically say this account, and then you say, I'm going to watch this account. If there's an escalation to this account, or more relevantly, target it to a group. And that's what we'll show in the demo, is if the group is added, someone is added to that group, right? And that's how you get your rights, is through groups and associates and entitlements. We will trigger and send an alert. And what some of our companies do is not only does the risk person, but also the cybersecurity person gets that.
Kasha, if you want to go on top of that, also talk about, once an attacker gains access, how does strictly enforcing least privilege help to contain that attack?
Right. So as Garrett mentioned, when somebody changes something, let's suppose in a user profile, for example, or in a group that it's an admin group, if somebody adds an identity or an extra privilege to that group, the triggers, they not only notify that somebody within the team that something's going on within this account or this group, it also triggers an audit automatically out of that change. And it also, on top of that, notifies the admin of whoever is running YouAttest for the company, but it also sends notifications to, let's say, IT admin, to a group, or also to an individual on multiple levels that something has changed within this group or these groups during the last few minutes. Do you want to certify or attest to that change? If you say yes, then it will go on, and the change will take place. But if you say no and assign it to somebody within the company on urgent and emergency basis, you don't have to wait to come into the office on Monday to find out something has already been done and harm has been, if somebody has caused a harm during those 2 days. But you can really do it in real time and assign it to somebody. Well, your support is always, most of the time, they're 24/7. So you can assign that audit to your support team and let them take care of that revocation immediately. So it's not like reacting to some change after a couple of days. It's near real time,
Yeah.
proactively, just eliminating the threat as it's occurring, it's happening.
Awesome. Folks, apologize for the feedback there. I don't know if it's mine, but somebody's microphone's picking up their speaker too. It might be mine, but I guess let's all mute if we're not talking. So I want to review real quick here and kind of paint the picture for the audience. Here we are midpoint through the webinar. What's the architecture of what we're talking about here, right? ThreatGEN's Auto Tabletop simulates the identity threat and privilege escalation. Edge Realm ER Vault platform deploys containerized GRC architecture at the edge. And then YouAttest, the IGA automation, instantly audits, triggers, alerts, and reviews active credentials, right? So let's review the problem. The problem, an adversary successfully compromises a legacy, unreviewed operational technology, OT, API key in a remote deployment, right? This is just an example of a problem. ThreatGEN's role is the simulator tests the remote staff's reaction times. The AI asks, who approved this key? Where is the audit trail? YouAttest role is the operator logs into the YouAttest dashboard, executes a rapid on-demand attestation campaign, flags the unreviewed API key as unauthorized, and revokes it. The Edge Realm role, the entire system functions seamlessly on site, isolated from external cloud dependencies and required, keeping data and process sovereignty completely intact. Does that kind of paint the big picture for everybody? Anybody want to go on top of that and add comment?
No, I think that was well said, because basically what you're doing is doing a process simulation and real with ThreatGEN, which is great. We are a governance risk compliance IGA tool that's always watching your identities and ensure they don't overall creep. And what Jerry just did is put together is that Edge Realm collectivizes those and other tools to create a secure SOC experience, data center in a box type experience.
Yes.
So yes.
And with combined, we have several solutions in that wrapper.
Yeah.
One can help with that Fortinet attack. So let's do this. I want to make sure we get some time for a demo here as well. I believe YouAttest would like to give a demo, but let's talk about executive buy-in and the takeaways here, right? This last segment, I want to kind of focus on continuous validation, leadership in the organization, and actionable advice for the audience. So Robert, from what you've seen in the field, what separates the organizations that successfully contain attacks from those that suffer major breaches?
Well, we all know, number one, that it's not if a compromise is going to take place, it's when.
Yeah.
And number two, the weakest link is the people.
That's right.
So the people need to have a plan of attack, and then they need to exercise that plan, and they need to be able to respond to, okay, step one, go look at YouAttest audit. Number two, number three, number four, number five. They need to know the checklist without looking at the checklist. So I would say, really, you have to have a foundation. You have to have a baseline, both in your audit of your network and your tech stack, as well as your people. You need to have that successful foundation on what we're going to do when.
Because these attacks are going to continue for how long? Until about 3 days after the sun burns out, right?
Yeah.
So, how does gamified security training actually change executive buy-in for, investing in identity governance tools? Talk about that a little bit, Robert.
Well, I would say if it's boring, no one's going to really invest anything into it. It's going to be a checkbox.
Right.
So you have to feel your heart pounding, and when you feel your heart pounding, at that point you get excited about it and you're able to implement. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring life to a cyber program where everyone is communicating, talking, interacting, and excited to use the tools like YouAttest, and have as much automated as you can. So when it takes place, you have something that you can immediately go to and say, oh, we're good. YouAttest has done this for me. Now, step 2.
Awesome. One last question for you both, and then we'll hand over to Kasha for a demo. And then following up on that, I'm going to have a call to action at the end. So for both of you guys, actually all of you guys, if you want to go on top of each other with this, the answer to this, if you could recommend one identity governance or simulation initiative that every organization should implement this year, what would it be?
Let me take that first. And I would say, look at it is start with your admin groups and look at the affordability attack. Basically, it was an admin account. So number one, and that's what Akasha will be showing is a group audit. Do a group audit of your admin groups. Okay. Look, when's the last time the password's been changed? And then look if it has 2-factor. That is going to stop literally a large percentage of attacks. Knows your admin groups, look when the password's been changed, and look if it has 2-factor. And that's where you automate, and that's what Kasha was showing the demo, but I'll let others go.
Well, when's the last time it was accessed?
Yeah.
Robert, you want to talk about simulate? What is one simulation exercise that you would recommend that they conduct this year for sure?
Well, it's ransomware. When you look at the number of attacks that are taking place now, it's ransomware. And the scary part about it is that Stryker Medical is an example of people died. And those cyber criminals who were doing that, it was all about the dollars. So if you don't have an incident response plan, make one now. AI is really good at it. And then test your response on ransomware.
Absolutely. Kasha, any thoughts there? Final thoughts?
No, I 100% agree with what just Garrett and Robert said, and I would like to show what it reflects in YouAttest, whatever Robert and Garrett has been talking about all this time. Garrett, if you just allow me to share my screen, that'd be great.
There you go. Let me where we go, rock and roll. There it is.
All right, so you are looking at one of the tenants. For example, it's a client using YouAttest, and it's integrated with their identity system. In this case, it's Entra ID. So I just want to show you how, if you have an admin group or any admin group or number of groups, subgroups that you want to audit every month, because these admin groups need to be audited every month, continuous compliance. The rest can wait for a quarter, maybe twice a year, but admin groups, they have to be audited every month because of their privileges and permissions. So once you have integrated into your identity system, which doesn't take like more than 30 to 45 minutes with YouAttest, you can create group audits, you can create application audits, you can create individual user audits. So there are 2 ways to audit your admin accounts. One is the way of doing the group audit. If you have admin groups, we can simply go into the group audit module, name the audit. I'll just do it high level, but I'll show you the workflow. And then you select the date. That's the time you are going to allow your managers to complete the task. Next, you have the admin group, whatever you want to call it. I'll just select one group because I don't have it named as admin group in this demo account. I'll just create this group. Let's suppose it's an admin group, all users, and I would like to pull the information, whatever I have on this group, just to see what kind of privileges do they have, if they have any MFA enabled, if they have any last password change date, last login date, so that I can make or assign it to somebody who can make the decision whether to certify or revoke their account. So I see these two individuals, these two identities, starting with their username. It could be a non-human identity with a service account, or it could be a human entity with an email ID as well attached to it. Next to it is who is going to be the direct line manager of this user, and obviously there is going to be information about who is the group owner in case you would like to delegate it to the group owner for review. And when you go into the more details, that's where you see a lot of information. What's the user role, or if that person has multiple roles, you will be able to see that at a glance. What was the last login date? What's the last password change date of the user? And of course, if a client has a P2 license, then you can always pull whether the MFA is enabled on his or her account as well. So once you have this information, you can easily delegate it in these two individuals or these two identities either to the group owner that you have the information for already, or whoever is the direct line manager of these users. Or there's another way. If you don't want to delegate out to either of these two individuals, for example, you can decide who should review these two identities, maybe in security department or in compliance department. So you can manually delegate to whoever you need to show this to and get the feedback. So I'll just select this one manager in security, and I will assign these users to that one individual. What happens on his end, in my case it's a he, and I'll just open that up in real time, and this is what he gets in real time. 1042, he gets a notification from the admin who created the audit. Along with the notification, there will be a link. Let me just open that up if it can help. So here will this is there's a link here. Once you click on that link, it's going to take you within, inside that audit, where that manager, that reviewer, that group owner will be able to review those two users by either saying I agree with the access, or no, I disagree and it should be revoked immediately. So once this is done, I'll just wait for the internet to agree with me, and I'll show you what happens next. There, it's coming up. So once you have reviewed whatever you were assigned by the admin, and here it is with two users, name demo and finance group. Let's say it's an admin group. I'll just go here. I'm okay with this person because I can see the details. This person needs this access, and I'll certify. That's my recommendation with the timestamp on it, right? So it provides you the whole audit trail instead of like just a checkbox on a spreadsheet that I agree with this. And then this person, maybe he has left the organization, or maybe he has moved to another department or changed roles. I would like to revoke his access to this admin group, and that also comes up with with time step and my name on it. And that's all a reviewer needs to do. So when I go back to my admin account, refresh the page, I see the progress that these managers have already reviewed, and now I can go back, because the APIs, if they were given the write and read access, we can write those revocations for you from within YouAttest right into your Entra ID or whatever identity platform you have. Just mark it as complete so nobody can make any mistakes. Execute those revocations within Entra ID. Once you click yes, I confirm, it's going to suspend the access of that user from the target in the audit, leaving alone the rest of the functionality, the rest of the access of that user intact. we only suspend or deactivate the access in the target application or target group. And it's up to the local IT to go in and remove the identity for good if that's what they need to do, but we only suspend or deactivate it. The last result is the PDF or CSV report, which provides you a whole audit trail with a timestamp, who said what, justification in term, in shape of comments and everything. So everything is here instead of only providing a checkbox on a spreadsheet. The other way of doing these audits is based on RBAC. So if a user they have multiple roles, you can run a user audit, for example. The steps are the same. So you can select users instead of selecting a group and then say, well, these are the roles for these users. I want to go selected for selected users. Either I can do them by groups, I can audit them by their individual identities, I can audit them by their managers they report to, or I can audit them by the roles they have. So you have all these administrators. You can just put in the search bar any admin role you have in the drop down, just select those boxes and it will create the audit for those roles. Whoever has got those roles within the organization will be pulled into the audit, and you can say yes or no to their access. So this is how we do these admin reviews every month, which were not possible for most of our clients before, because they were doing it on spreadsheets and they were able to conduct these audits only once or maybe twice a year. But now they're doing it every month, like 12 audits a year. And that's what the auditors are looking for, especially in terms of privileged and these admin accounts.
Good
So
stuff.
you guys, so talk a little bit, Garrett, about how you guys, this is really applies to the regulations, the governance compliance regulations out there. Identities is a big part of that in all of those regulations, right? But that change, those regulations can change. How do you guys keep up with that? Do you monitor what changes in those regulations and update the product?
That's a really great question, and I'm going to answer it in a way that. And let me remove this screen, okay? And wow, these are powerful removes. Okay, and you'll see this. What you'll see is everyone on the topic of identity governance should read the Cybersecurity Framework 2.0 and look up 2.0 PRA05. It's the principle of least privilege. And what you'll find, and this is how it's easier to do your job all out there if you're in governance compliance, if you meet the criteria of the principle of least privilege, where every account, human or non-account, that it's only getting access what it should have, voila, it maps right into these. Have fun. The heck with me. Just go on your favorite LLM. Go with Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT or Copilot and say, how does the insurance regulation NHIs relate to the principle of least privilege, namely PRAA05? And it will tell you. It will tell you all the controls. So what all these have done have said principle of least privilege is paramount. Doesn't matter. It does not. And what's really relevant to know, it doesn't say human or non-human in all of these. What it says is if you have identities that have access to sensitive data, you must be able to prove that you have a practice and procedures on limiting and auditing those identities. Each one of these regulations say that. So start with identities, start with a governance program, and then you can map that to the different specific the different regulations and frameworks that your enterprise is under.
I have to admit, I had a hidden agenda for this question. I want to give
Sure.
we have, Edge Realm, we're an integrator. Our GRC wrapper is made up of several partners. You guys are one of them. We have another one called Allgress. They've come out with a new offering called RegWatch, and it'll watch these regulations and alert you to any changes that occur on a regular basis. And I think that's really important because these changes, if you're not keeping up with the changes, how do you know you're compliant? right? And it's, by the way, it's free to partners, and it's very reasonably priced to the end user customer. In fact, the partner can come in and no cost. The partner's cost potentially help
But
you
this
keep up
also-
with those changes and those regulations.
It's
I want to wrap
also-
up here with a.
What Garrett really set forth with YouAttest is part of the foundation. If you don't have that, how can you go any further from that? It starts with logging in. And as Garrett said, you got to know whether it's a human or a non-human.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. But Garrett, you should have Jeff back on to talk about that solution. I think it's very fitting for an audience.
I love Jeff. He's a lot of fun. There you go.
So let's wrap up with a call to action, guys. The conclusion. We want to just encourage you guys to sign up for, first off, a custom identity-focused demo of the ThreatGEN Auto Tabletop as first call to action, and then also request an active YouAttest access review assessment to discover orphaned accounts in their current directories. Garrett will help you with this. Edge Realm can help with this. Numerous partners that I'm sure Garrett has that will help to get that completed. And lastly, I want to encourage everybody, go to edgerealm.ai, take the sovereignty survey. There's a lot of things you'll uncover there. Is your organization ready for AI? And that will tell you, if you're scoring low on that sovereignty survey, you might want to think about making some changes there. And then, of course, go whatever industry you're in, go look at our technical brochures detailing the embedded GRC wrapper specific to your industry. So
yeah, and let me close on one thing. So, team, we focused on accounts. We talked about NHIs, but the demo was around admin accounts. You come to our page or just info@youattest.com, fill out that, mention this webinar. We'll give you a 10% off on a one-time trial on this, okay? So you can do a pass-through of all your admin accounts. Just mention this webinar and we're good to go. Info@youattest.com. Just write us.
Awesome. Robert, anything you want to close with?
Well, if you go to the ThreatGEN.com website, there's a contact us page, and let's schedule a demo. I'll also provide to everyone who registered for this event a video of Auto Tabletop where we'll walk through the FortiBleed scenario to actually give everyone a feel for what happened and what you could do to respond to it.
Awesome. Kashif, any final thoughts?
Oh, that's if you want to have a one-to-one demo, or you want to have training or any resource that you need to get from YouAttest, or if you have any questions regarding these orphan accounts, as Jerry mentioned, or admin accounts, or these triggers that we have mentioned in our webinar, just let us know, and I'll I'll do a detailed session with you just to make you understand how the product works. And it doesn't take more than 60 minutes to understand how YouAttest works, and you'll be the next guy doing this on your own.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you all, and thanks to our audience for joining us. Again, any questions, concerns, requests, please reach out. Look forward to hearing from folks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good job, Jerry. Good job,
Have a great
Robert.
day.